Hi there, I'm Dean Heskin. Thank you for tuning in to our podcast, The Secret War on Cash. I'm President and CEO of Swiss America, and that is who is bringing you this podcast. I have with me my co-host, Chris Agelastos. Chris, how are you today?
Doing well. Good morning.
Well, great to see you. And boy, we're getting close to the end of the year here. And for those of you who are new to our podcast, thanks for being here. And if you're not subscribed, please do so. And for those of you who have been with us over the last few years now that we've been doing this, welcome back and look to bring you some good information here today. Well, good. This was kind of a personal thing. When we look to do these programs or these shows, it's, looking for content and things that, one of the things being in the financial business as long as I have, Chris, is like, it's always fascinated me when I talk to clients or prospective clients that how little they knew about some of the things that were going on in the economy. And I don't say that as a criticism whatsoever. What I mean by that is like the news cycle tends to be pretty biased. Like, if you tune in, you're going to hear about these same few stories, and there's a bigger world out there, bigger things going on. This first story, though, let's talk about this. This was just kind of one of those things when I saw it, I was like, oh my gosh, you gotta be kidding me. The title of the article, CC's put it up, Dairy Queen Chapter 11 Shockwave After Major Rival Bankruptcy. Dairy Queen, like, I grew up on Dairy Queen, absolutely loved it. I actually still love Dairy Queen, and it seems like they do pretty well from what, when I see the ones I see people in there and what have you. And reading through the article, I know that I do know why this has happened. And as it says, a major rival, one of their major rivals went bankrupt. It was a bankruptcy reorganization, which was, I can't remember the name of the primary company. It's Freddy's Custard, though. Right?
Yeah. Fast Freddy's
Yeah. Which, my wife's from Missouri, so we spend a lot of time back there. They are all over Missouri. In fact, I think that's where they're based. But, this is something that they're based in Wichita, Kansas. This is something that, it is sad if you're like me and there's maybe a little bit of nostalgia to it. Like, I'd really hate to see Dairy Queen go away. We talked about it a little earlier. Like, I still love their butterscotch dilly bars. My dad got me hooked on butterscotch as a kid, and I still love them. But when you look at this, and it gets into some of the other companies, especially in the food and beverage industry, food service industry, it's not that people don't like Dairy Queen anymore. It's not that people don't like Freddy's Custard anymore. What it is it's really more a reflection of what's taking place in our economy around us today. And what that is, Freddy's Frozen Custard, that's what it's called, yeah. What it is people who they're feeling the pinch of maybe unemployment. They're feeling the pinch of inflation. They just don't have the discretionary monies anymore to go into, a Dairy Queen or a Freddy's Frozen Custard and buy the stuff they used to buy. And, we've discussed this before, Chris, how in an aggregate sense, you hear maybe on CNBC or whatever news program you might watch, them talk about how inflation is here, how it's not here, how it's in check, how it's not in check. But as they have this discussion and they selectively use different criterion to decide, see, this is why there's no inflation, or see, this is why there is inflation, what's always taking place behind the scenes is families are affected by it. Because, look, prices have gotten higher. And even it's been happening for a long time. And even to this day, it really kind of is, I don't know if I'd say it makes me mad, but it's just like, you're like, come on, what's going on here? Like, the example I often use is the bag of chips. You open a bag of chips and okay, fine, they didn't raise the price. They just got rid of 2/3 of chips that used to be inside the bag.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's affecting people. But now I would say in probably the last several decades, this bout of what we're dealing with right now, to me at least, and from what I read and the people I talk to, this seems to really be taking a toll on households.
Yeah, this is definitely the worst I've seen over the last, few years, versus my 50 years here on the planet. So it's definitely ramped up, and it's kind of it's tough for everyone because, Dairy Queen in this example, they're having to raise their prices because of inflation, right? It costs them more to buy their products to make their ice cream. It costs them more to raise the wages that they're having to pay people in order to stay competitive. I mean, the fast food franchises here in the Phoenix metro area are paying $16 to $22 an hour for workers. Like entry level positions. I mean, that's $30,000 to $45,000 a year in salary that they have to pay. And in addition to that, right, they are forced to offer healthcare and other types of benefits, which is good. I'm glad that we can provide a better standard uh, for those workers. But at the same time, because of all of this inflation and the price going up, but people have to decide, what can I afford this week? With my grocery bill doubling, do I now have an extra $20 to take the kids to Dairy Queen? Which at least when I was growing up, that was kind of like our Sunday thing. That was our weekend treat. And now families are having to decide, can they really afford that? So
Right.
and it's really hitting obviously the low and middle income consumers the most. But those also tend to be the people that are working a lot of hours just to get by and maybe are relying more on McDonald's or Chipotle or whomever, fast food type restaurants, because they just don't have the time to necessarily prepare all of their meals in advance. So it's a sign of the times, and it's sad. It's difficult for the business, and it's also difficult for all the consumers that, like you said, they still want to go get their Blizzard or their Dilly Bar, but
Dilly bar.
they just have to cut it out of their budget.
Yeah, I vote for Dilly bar every
Yeah, it's a
time.
solid, it's a solid choice.
Well,
Mint
listen,
myself, I'll go with the mint dilly bar, but they're all
yeah,
delicious.
you can't go wrong. Yeah, I mean, and you kind of hit the nail on the head there too. We had the minimum wage and the wage increase that took place with all these fast food establishments, and so it becomes kind of a double whammy. Now they have greater overhead by the hour with their workers, but then they also have less people coming in to spend money because the condition of the economy, and so that has to be a painful process to experience and watch and go through. Which, on that note, let's look at our second article here. Corporate bankruptcies on pace for a 15-year high as more quote isolated incidents to occur.
Hmm.
I don't know why they would say isolated incidents. It's like a giant mirror of our economy. It's the reflection coming back at you. I wouldn't call
Yeah.
it an isolated incident, but bottom line is, we had, let's see, through October of this year, 655 companies filing for bankruptcy, which nearly matches, they're saying, what all of 2024 was at 687.
Hmm.
Now, as I read that, and I didn't really see anything where it got too specific in terms of the size of these companies and the filings, but I would have to believe, Chris, this is not like, some grandmother who has hung a shingle outside her front door saying, "Hey, if you want me to do alterations, come on in." Meaning, like, these are people,
Yeah.
they're actual corporations, they're filing.
Yep.
And why I'm mentioning that is because it took a lot of work to get that company started, that business going. Opening a corporate bank account, doing whatever marketing and advertising, whatever materials, maybe you're renting a space and so on and so forth. And I know
Hmm.
there are a lot of companies out there, but man, when you're talking nearly 700 companies that are having to go through that painful process of finally just saying, you know what, I'm throwing in the towel, that's bad.
Yeah.
And look, there could be a lot of small ones, Chris, but we know a lot of big ones too. Dairy Queen
Yeah.
and Freddy's Custard, they're not giant corporations by any means, but they're multi-million-dollar corporations. And
Yeah.
so, again, it just speaks to this has been a trend, and a trend that seems to be getting worse, not better.
Yeah. When you see this goes back, they're measuring from the last 15 years. I mean, that takes us back to 2010, coming right out of the housing crisis where we saw a lot of bankruptcies. So, and we've had a lot of problems in the last 15 years in the economy and whatnot. I mean, certainly, AI and tech has done really well, but a lot of industries have suffered. And so to be hitting a 15-year high now, when it looks like all of the momentum in our economy is starting to leave, makes me think things are just going to continue to get worse. And this is mostly hitting they didn't give specific companies like you said, they didn't name them in here, but it's discretionary spending, right? So what does that tell you? It's lower income families that are having to make choices, and that's going to hit a lot of restaurants. They're going to maybe choose to cook it at home instead of go out for a treat. They're not going to go bowling. They're not going to go see movies, things that we don't need but we enjoy. Activities, recreational activities, things that we're doing for fun. So people
Right.
are really just having to focus. The bottom line is that they're having to focus the dollars that they do have on the things that are most necessary, because prices everywhere have been going up. And so there just isn't enough money to go around. And, this was something that, I mean, I lived with this as a normal lifestyle choices when we first had kids. We only had so much money, and my wife was going to stay home with the kids, and so we had to look at every dollar and say, okay, we're not going to be able to go hang out with friends this weekend, maybe in 2 weeks. And I fear that that's what a lot of families are doing now, even more well-established families that should have enough money, but because the cost of their energy has doubled, the cost of their groceries has doubled, they can't
Right.
go do these other activities, and those companies are going to suffer.
Oh, 100%. Well, think of it in these terms too, going back to these, 650 plus companies that have filed bankruptcy. Okay. And let's use Dairy Queen as an example. Dairy
Mhm.
Queen is a very well established corporation. I
Yeah,
mean, I don't know when they were originally incorporated, and I don't know if they were private and then became incorporated later, like what, public or anything like that. But
uh-huh.
the
Yeah,
bottom line is this: you take these 650 plus companies. What Dairy Queen has going for it is the name. Like, I don't think
yeah,
you and I could talk to anybody today, like our age or give or take in that same category, who wouldn't say, "Oh yeah, Dairy Queen was basically kind of part of my upbringing." I'm granted different
right.
parts of the country, I'm sure, but
Yeah,
like if they had one in their proximity, it's a brand, it's a name that it's not McDonald's, but I mean it's up there. It's in fact, I wonder if
yeah.
like kind of if they're even like an Arby's status or maybe even like sub Burger King status.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, if a company with that kind of name recognition is having this kind of trouble, think of what a lot of these other companies out there that don't have that same history or that same longevity are going through. So
Yeah, it's
this
bad
is what
news.
it's all part of the secret war on cash, ladies and gentlemen. And if you have not received your report, the secret war on cash, you can get that for free at Swiss America Trading. And the only thing you have to do is contact us via phone, 1-800-289-2646, or you can text us at 1-800-289-2646. Or you can visit us online at www.swissamerica, all one word, .com. So thanks for all the information, Chris. For those of you tuned in, thanks. Welcome back. For those of you who are back, and welcome for those new ones. If you're not subscribed to this podcast, as I mentioned earlier, please do so, as we'd love to talk to you more in the future. Other than that, have a great rest of your week, and look forward to seeing you soon.
Yep, take care.